Hi again, Susan here, and I'm giving you an update on Wyatt, my little Bailey sculpt that I'm turning into a little boy. And I did a little video before about the back of his hair, which I haven't done very much more since that video. We've had a busy week here in our household, having people over and whatnot, so you know how that goes. But I've spent some time this morning doing his little mop, just to give me a little something different to do today. And it's coming along really cute, I think. I like when it's wet. I'm going to spray it here again with Johnson's No More Tangle. So I had a couple more little tips for you while I'm working on this. First of all, you'll notice maybe that his face is losing some color. He's fading somewhat from rolling around on this pillow while I root him. And I had sealed him with Genesis Heat Set, the matte varnish, and but it's still, some of the color comes off, and that just happens. So but that's not a problem. When I'm done with him, I'm going to put a little more color on him again, and just kind of sponge some things a little darker for him, and put him in the oven. And then while he's baking with his conditioner on his hair and his little hat on his head, maybe some of these little pores or follicles will close up to the ones that got so large when I used the 36 gauge needle. So now I'm using, of course, the 43 single barb needle from Bountiful Baby, and I've been clipping along pretty quickly with the top of his head. I have erased some of the guidelines that I made with my white gel pen, and the way you do that, you just take your little Q-tip here and put a little bit of either water, or I've always got the No More Tangles around, so you just do that, and you can rub it just a little bit. It's not wet enough. There we go. And it just comes off. See? And you might want to be careful doing that if you have the white marks under the hair. Try to do it before you actually root over it, like I did here. See, there's some white there that needs to come off. And if you don't glue your hair first before you do that, you start rubbing, and you're going to rub the hair right off of his head. So I did that a little bit, and you've got to be just really careful and gentle, and just kind of go around. Don't necessarily go in the direction that you rooted, because you might pull it out, but just kind of back and forth until you get it out. So this has been glued, the front of his head. While I'm on the subject of glue, it's another little line. One thing happened to me when I glued the inside as I go a little bit, but when this last time when I had quite a bit of mop, I put some glue in there to try to keep it held while I was finishing him up, and as I was pushing the brush around, a big wad of hair ends up on the brush. I'm looking at it going, what in the world? That glue will actually pull your hair right through the doll's head, and then you're going to end up with some bald spots, which I did, and I have to go back and patch up a few little spots as I go and look through there. He looks pretty good, but I want him to be perfect. So I'm going to go back and do it right and fill a couple of those holes where I actually pulled the hair out. So be careful when you use the glue, and I told you before to put the glue underneath as you're going, but be careful not to rub it. I use Aleene's tacky glue in the beginning instead of using the E6000 glue, which so many use, and the E6000 is great for the finished product, but while you're kind of practicing along, I would use this. because if you really don't like what you've done at the end, once it's dry, you can take a spoon in there and kind of loosen it up and pull the whole thing out. It just pulls out like plastic, and it pulls all the hair right through, and it's almost clean completely. It's better than trying to cut it and shave it and using Nair or Neat. I did it with one of my dolls here recently, and it pulled every bit of the hair out. It was awesome. So remember that little hint, Aleene's tacky glue, before your finished product. It's a good practice glue to keep on their heads. So I really like him. I think he's coming along great. Let's see, is there something else I wanted to tell you? I can't remember. So let me just get started and show you a little bit of rooting. Some of you liked watching the rooting because it kind of helped you get the feel for how it's supposed to be. Everybody has a different way, so mine's not the way to do it, but it's working for me. Now I use a I don't know if you could see this. Can you see that? That is a magnifying lamp. I love this thing because I have a hard time seeing these tiny, teeny little hairs, and it makes them really blow up and look big. And also, I have a 7-inch diameter on this lamp, magnifying glass, so I can move the head here and here and here, and it still stays within. I mean, I'm still seeing it, you know. And so I guess if you have the little kind, you have to hold it in a certain position. But this is pretty good to have this big one. I recommend it if you can get one. They run around $79. I got mine for $30, I think, at a special sale. And so sometimes you can get them at a great deal, which mine was. I was really thankful for it. But I wanted to tell you some of the people who are struggling with their rooting technique. Let me see, am I getting it here? What I wanted to tell you is to not worry so much about isolating one little hair and then pushing it in. See, I didn't even get it that time. Sometimes that just, it's self-defeating, because I mean, you're taking all of your time trying to isolate this one little hair and push it in when in that time. But what I like to do is take 2 or 3 hairs there and just pull them down and push, and let the needle do the work. It will figure it out. It's got a barb there, and it will take one in. If you take too many hairs, you're going to end up pulling too many hairs into the follicle. But maybe just 3 or 4 hairs, push, and see, there went one, just one hair. So you just don't worry about it and let the needle do it. And then go like this, pull the hair down. Sometimes you'll pull the loose hair, the little broken end. When you go like this, it'll just naturally fall off. Sometimes it won't. You'll have to go back and pluck it out. But see, I'm going to do this a few times for you just to get the idea. And then when you get a rhythm going by pulling, sometimes you're going to do that and you're not even going to pull one in. It's going to be blank. But don't stop. Just keep doing it like I'm doing here, and gently rotate your needle until you find a place where it's picking it up. Let's see. Let's see. Nope, that didn't do it. So go like this. That did one. That did not. So I'm going to leave it right here. That's the angle for me. And so as long as I keep my needle at that angle, I'm punching and I'm picking up a hair every time. You see that? There they are. And then you just, if you have the magnifying glass, you can see where the gaps are, and you just pull a hair down into the gap, and you sort of do a brick pattern. And it's not going to be even exactly, but just fill in the little gaps with a hair. There you go. I'm just going to do this for a few minutes and let you see how you do it. I mean, if you want to. Just keep doing it. I see I've almost used up all of the little loose hairs that were sticking above my little hank of hair here. Now, when I'm done with this row, I'm going to have to go back and pluck out some of the double hairs. See, I need to pull some more loose ones out. I like to have a few loose ones to play with. And then I just drag them down and push them in. Drag them down, push them in. Just like that. There you go. Oops, I missed one there. There we go. Now I got 2 or 3 in that. Okay, and then after you get that, you get about a row or so done, then take your finger, pull the hairs down flat, and all of your loose ones, or many of the loose ones, will just stick out, and you can go through and pick those little ends, the little folded over broken ends. You can just snap them. They're usually really loose anyway. When the hair folds over and there's a little tip left, they're usually loose, and you just pluck them off. See? And that helps reduce the number of pluggy looking hairs, so that you can see really what you're dealing with in the way of the double hairs. If I get all of the little tiny pieces off, it's gotten rid of a lot of those dots, the plugs. Now there are some still left, like this one here. That means it has multiple hairs in one follicle, so I'm going to pull some of them out. See? And then it looks like there's still 2 in there. And you know, on this mop, I'm not going to worry too much about having the 2, because I want it to look thicker on the top and darker. And since he's going to have a lot of hair here, I'm not sure how much of that's really going to show up. I'm not going to leave any of these spots though. I don't know if you could see those. See the little dark dots? Those are from having too many hairs in one follicle. And those are ugly. They will ruin your doll. I've had so many dolls that I did and left them like that, and I wish I could go back and get all those dolls. I'm glad in a way that I've not signed any of my dolls to this point, because they've really got horrible hair. And I'm hoping that Wyatt is going to change that for me. I hope that he turns out okay.